And now, TSPN News with Tom Slivick. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites. TSPN, streaming on the World Wide Web, and now on demand at TSPNTV.com. Hi everyone, Tom Slivick. Welcome to TSPN's News for today. And today my guest is Sheriff Martin Ryan. How you doing, Sheriff?
I'm doing fine,
Good
Tom.
to see you again.
You too.
And we're going to be going over some topics. We're going to take a break real soon, but let me give some of the viewers an idea of what some of the things we'll be going over. We'll be talking about crime here. The county jail prison now serves like a dual role. We'll talk about some good things as well. We'll talk about realignment, but we're going to talk about the Toys for Kids campaign. It's a great thing. We're going to talk about the holiday season, what maybe to look out for, some driving tips, weather tips, emergency tips. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN. Hi everyone, and welcome back. I'm with Sheriff Martin Ryan here in Amador County. My name is Tom Slivick. Sheriff, good to see you one more time. And we're going to start with, let's go into our jail. The jail now is a prison/jail prison, and because of realignment, how's things working out for you?
Well, let me bring the viewers up a little bit on
Sure.
the realignment process. This is something that came in October of 2011 as a result of federal lawsuits brought against the state prison system for cruel, unusual conditions with regards to health care and mental health care. As a result of that, the Supreme Court issued a decision saying that the state had to reduce their population by a considerable amount of inmates. That started this whole issue with AB 109 and the realignment process. And basically what happened was they wrote some new laws that reclassified some felonies that normally would have sent people to state prison. Those are called non-serious, non-violent, non-sex offenses. Those individuals now, instead of they get convicted of those cases, those particular crimes, they get convicted now. Instead of going to state prison, they actually come to what we're now calling county prison as opposed to county jail. And there's a whole lot of issues with that comes along with that population coming into our facility. It's really changed the culture within the facility of the inmates, and there's some issues there. But one of the things that Corrections did when they started implementing this policy was they provided us with some projections as to what the impacts would be from realignment. Right. They estimated that between October of 2011 and the end of September of 2013 that we would receive 84 of these new non felony admissions, and that we would get 5 new parole violators with a new terms for violations that they committed that no longer would send them to state prison. They would come to county prison. Okay. So went back and took a look at that after September 30th of this year when that period ran, and found out that we actually had 73 of these new felonies, which was 87% of the projection, which is fine. But with regards to the parole violators, we had 106 instead of 5. And that's a 2,120% increase above the projection. So those are impacts on the facility, the numbers of inmates in the facility, all those kind of issues that we have to deal with. The other thing I did was I compared 2011 with 2012 when realignment first started, and a full year in 2012 to see what the impacts were in our facility with this new population we were receiving. And we found that our contraband being brought into the jail increased by 23%, that fights amongst inmates increased 30%, that use of force by staff required to break up fights and those kind of things increased 31%, and that jail rules violations increased 19%. So we're seeing a significant shift in the criminal sophistication of these people that are coming into our facility now. And I think we spoke earlier, when they classified these crimes as non-nons for these individuals, that is the last crime for which they were convicted. That has nothing to do with their prior history. They could have violence in their prior history. They could have a very extensive rap sheet.
So we can't look at that.
The
probation department can't look at that.
They can for probation, but as far as whether they're getting coming to county jail or not versus state prison, that's not a classification that counts. So those are some of the things that did. The other thing that changed along with those non-nons is that the length of terms served in county jails have changed completely. Right. Traditionally, county jails house people for up to 1 year that are sentenced. Because of the types of crimes that they've reclassified, the penalties still stayed. And so from a state sheriff's perspective, collectively, the 58 of us counties, we took a look at that number and we said, okay, what are the sentences that are being received? Well, as of February of this year, 1,109 county inmates throughout this state were sentenced between 5 and 10 years in their county jail. 44 county jail inmates were sentenced to over 10 years, and LA County had an inmate sentenced to the county jail for 43 years. Now, they've realigned the time credits to be the same as state prison, so they do half time, but if you can imagine doing 21 and a half years in a county jail facility that was meant to house you for one is incredible.
What would be the differences, main differences between the jails that were set up and built to house someone for a year, as opposed to now where someone could do 20 years, I imagine? Well,
the biggest problem is in space and the type of programs you have available. If you go to a state prison, there are trade schools you can go to, there's shops, you can work in a bakery, you can do all those kind of things to develop a trade, those kind of things. Those don't exist.
So there's also room for the prisoner to move around.
Oh, absolutely. Not just be big yards,
a
lot of equipment, for working out, all those kind of things that an expanded facility allows for. Teachers coming in, a lot of those things that we don't have space for. We were never intended to have that kind of space. So the concern is that at some point we're going to see the same kind of issues raise their ugly heads as raised with the state with regards to health issues, confinement issues, those kind of things. And in some cases, I think there's been 2 or 3 of the state sheriffs in the larger areas have already seen lawsuits being brought for overcrowding.
I was going to ask you about that. Since the facilities aren't set up, would the the prisoners maybe look for legal ways to better their environment as well?
Well, absolutely, and they're more criminally sophisticated. They still have contact in some cases with the attorneys that were used to dealing with them in the state prison system. These guys know how the system works. They know all the rules and regulations. They take advantage of the situation that is to file lawsuits in situations where our facilities just can't accommodate what they're asking for.
Okay. Now, we had said that there's some of the issues with that, with the smallness of that. How about mental health? How does that play in? Does mental health in our community go to the jails and work with the prisoners?
Yeah, mental health is a very close partner with us in this whole process. They are members of the Community Corrections Partnership, which is the board that governs the funding that comes in and helps develop programs for the inmates once they get out back in the community. And so they've been a very good partner with that. They do come into our facility on a fairly regular basis to check on people. If we have people in crisis with mental health issues, they show up and they address those issues for us. So they've been very good partners in this whole process, trying to get these people the help they need. People with severe mental illness don't belong in a jail facility. They belong in a mental health facility, of which there are very few beds to be able to get to. So mental health is a critical partner in this process.
So even less rooms with beds and mental health.
There are, and we've had situations where we've had people with mental health issues in our facility that we know need to get out of there. And mental health works with us to try to find a bed in a secure mental health facility, and it sometimes takes months to find a bed.
Okay. Now, Mark Bonini's the probation officer, chief probation officer. Does he not only assist with maybe where the probation cases would come, or what would occur when an inmate is coming to us, or is that over with? Have we already got the people from the state prisons? In other words, is the pipeline just having new criminals or for new crimes?
Well, he has a couple roles. He has the traditional probation role, which is people that are convicted locally, sentenced to probation, and they have the responsibility for that. In addition to that, there are what they call PRCS supervised people. These are individuals who commit the crimes, would have gone back to state prison, or would have had a state parole oversee them, and now local probation is doing that. So they are responsible, quite honestly, for tracking the people on the outside, working with them to get their programming done, make sure that they get the benefits that they are entitled to, and then checking up on them, make sure that they're they're adhering to their programs and adhering to the laws. And that's a full-time job, and you'll see them out and about quite a bit checking up on the people that are on parole in this community, on probation in this community.
Okay, well, time's flying. We're going to take a quick break, then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about this, and then we'll try to get to some brighter sides.
Okay.
Stay with us here on TSPN.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.